Coming to you live from the shadow of the big house, it's IT4U. Tips and tricks on ITS tools, products, services, and more with your host, Gene Mackey. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to IT4U. I'm your host, Gene Mackey. These are interactive webinars brought to you by Information and Technology Services. If you're having any audio or video problems during the webinar, let us know in the chat pod. If it's not on our end, we can offer some tips. And if you're watching the YouTube captioned recording, look in the description for a link to a resource doc, which we'll also send to everybody who's in the room today. If you need an accommodation to participate in one of our live episodes, just give us a little bit of a heads up. What's coming up next week? This is a popular topic. We got Evan Blumenstein from ITS who's going to talk to us about how to get access to administrative data with ORS, the online access, request system. Thank you. And today we've got Matt Pickus talking about formulas, filters, and formatting in business objects. Welcome, Matt.
Good morning. So let's change over to business objects. We're going to open up just a new business objects report this morning, applications, web intelligence. I'm going to go ahead and build this pretty quickly. We are recording this, so if you want to follow along and build what I'm building, I would recommend waiting until you get the recording. That way you can pause it, see exactly what's going on, because I'm going to move kind of quickly through this portion of it. The other thing is, you'll notice as I get into the universes, what I'm using is a new universe we have installed into the business object system called Superstore Production. It's a little more robust than the eFashion database that comes with business objects. So it has more things to it, the ability for us to do more tips and tricks than we can get through the eFashion. And the other benefit is everybody has access to it. So we don't often know who has access to Fin or HR or Dart. So this is a generic data source that everybody on campus can use. So go ahead and open the Superstore Production. And you'll see it's just a generic kind of a store that sells a whole bunch of different products and categories. We're going to be pulling some information in to be able to show you some things. So building this really quickly.
And just ask questions in the chat pod, and I will relay them to Matthew.
Hopefully everybody heard that. Gene's comment was go ahead and ask in the ask pod on the Blue Jeans interface, and she will relay the questions to me. Product category and subcategory. And then to potentially get to the point of showing you filters, we'll build in a prompt. We'll run that query. At the moment, just bring them all in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to build a new table. I want to just add a report. I just want to show just a few things originally. Product category and subcategory and the profit. So a lot of times we get asked questions about simply formatting, basic calculations and basic formatting. Come here, business objects. Trying to let everybody see everything. So some of the easiest things to do in business objects is conditional formatting. That would be under the formatting menu. And then, wow, I have to find it. And I do this every time. Mm-hmm. Analysis, I apologize. Analysis, new rule. And you can set up a rule to format either text or numbers based on information that's in that cell or information that's in another cell in the table. So in this case, we're just going to call the conditional format profit or loss. And if the profit is less than 0, Come on, business objects. Type in the value. Less than 0. We're just going to leave it as the default and making the text red. That's a quick way to just get something to show up like you want. If you want to do it in text, however, instead and say, well, wait, I need to be able to show whether it's just profit or loss, we're going to add in a column, right-click, insert column on the right, and we're going to build a formula. So a couple of different windows over here. This is just how to build, edit the formula. This will write a formula for you, but it won't save it. Sometimes if you need to use the formula for other formulas, if you need to use the formula for other formatting, they'd rather use it. It would work better if you saved it as a variable. So it's a very similar window, but we use create variable more often. And in this case, we're just going to call it profit or loss calc. And it's just an if-then statement. Make this a little bigger so we can see it.
An if-then statement, and they can hear me.
Good.
So that's if this is true, then do this, or else do this. Would that be a way to describe it?
Simple. Yep, exactly right. So easy enough. I'm just going to not have to type everything, just paste it in. So what we're saying here, if the sum of the profit, add up the profit for bookcases, add up the profit for chairs and chair mats. That's the number that's being shown here, sum of the profit. So if the sum of the profit is greater than or equal to 0, then write in the text, because it's in quote, the text profitable, else in text loss. And whenever you write a formula, you can go ahead and click the green checkbox here. Formula is defined correctly. That will let you know if there's any syntax errors. You also have in this window a list of available functions. So you can go through and you can find the function you're looking for, sum. There'll be the definition of the syntax down here, sum of a measure. We'll cover a little bit more later. If you ever need assistance on a formula, little box here that's more on this function. It'll open up a browser window to BusinessObjects help, and it'll show you the definition and more examples of how to use particular formulas. So again, it's defined correctly. We hit OK. And two things have happened. Over here on the left-hand pane in the available objects, the variables folder now has a variable in it that can be used again and again and again. And you can see profit or loss calculation has been put into this column that we added in. The last thing we can do is we can go ahead and use the conditional formatting once again. So there are some formatting rules that are already in place. I'm just going to click Manage Rules. And we can say, yes, for this column, please also use the conditional formatting rule that we built a couple minutes ago. So now, go ahead and hit OK. There we go. Same color formatting works. We can get profit or loss, and you can show it in the color you want. You can make profitable blue. You can do lots of different things with the conditional formatting, different colors, different backgrounds, boldface, anything you need like that. So if you have a big, huge report that you're building for your client or your manager, you want to call something out, it's easy to do by saying these few people have this requirement and the rest don't. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in, and Jean will make sure that that I answer them back to you as soon as I can. So that's one way to use if-then statements. For those who are a little more familiar with Tableau or SQL, writing SQL, case statements don't exist in BusinessObjects. There are ways to get around it. We just recommend using a very, very long if-then statement. If A, then B. Else do this, else do that, else do this other thing. So you can keep going quite a long ways and getting lots and lots of details. I can show you a quick version of that right now. The new report, and we're going to just put in region and the state or province. And you can see here that the central region, there's lots of states in what this data set calls the central region. It goes all the way from Wisconsin down to Nebraska and Oklahoma and Texas. It's a good swatch of the United States. So if you wanted to make a case statement and just kind of maybe separate them up a little bit differently, say you're graphing them or you want to separate or group states differently than what's in the data set, we will insert another column. and we will write a formula. And I'm just going to make this a pretty big window. And let me grab that formula. This would be, any bigger? Try to make it bigger. There we go. If the state or province equals Illinois, then call it Midwest. So you can define differently. There we go. You can break out and create groups this way that are specific to what you want to do that may not be in the data set. A good example would be the schools and colleges on campus. A lot of times we differentiate between big schools and small schools. So LS&A, engineering, Ross, and medicine are much bigger than the Ford School, public policy, than kinesiology. So we'll divide those up and say big schools and small schools. We will use formulas similar to what you can see on screen to break them up like that. We had a question?
Matt says, how did Matthew get the column to auto-fit so fast?
All right, there's a pro and con to that.
Huh.
Let me just name this if then else. Save that, and you can see how it populated and divided everything up. Get to that question real quick. What we can do is I can take this formula, I can put it first, and business objects will automatically sort by whatever is in the first column. To get column width to automatically grow to the size of the column you want, there's two ways to do it. One is, you can see how the cursor goes from an arrow to the two-sided arrows with you can see that cursor right there. If you double click when the cursor looks like that, it will auto fit. There are some pros and cons to that. Another trick, you right click on any column, make sure you're formatting the cell. You see here it says auto width to content and it's checked. What that'll do, no matter what information, if you rerun the report and you have a much, much wider or nothing that wide, business objects will automatically adjust it every single time. That may be good or bad depending if you have a form that you have formatted to fit a particular size. If you have two tables on top of each other, they're going to get out of alignment, which makes it much harder to export cleanly to Microsoft Excel. So we recommend, I did that fast just so we can do it for the video, is dragging them manually. If I drag it manually, no matter what text is in that field, it will remain that size exactly. So if I go ahead and format the cell, you can see that auto width is not checked. Or instead, you can just type in the size you want, hit OK, and that's the size it will be fixed to. So double clicking will automatically change it to auto width, or in the other case, auto height. Other thing you can do is under formatting, this little box over here under alignment is wrap text. That will automatically wrap text. If I make this smaller, the hyphen may make that not work. It'll automatically wrap the text and change the size of your rows. So that's how you would quickly do it, but there are some risks when you do it because business objects will automatically set it to auto width. One thing we get asked a lot, I'm going to make yet another report, right click down on report and add report, is dates, breaking up dates or creating dates. So I'm just going to drop the one column in and you have the order date. And that's the way it looks like, but you may want a longer version of it. I'm going to make another column. We're going to do a bunch of these right now. Column on the right. Come on, business objects. There we go. I'm going to drag it back in. And this time under formatting, we can just go under numbers and default. And there's a lot of choices in here. Business objects knows already that this is a date. So it gives you a lot of date functions, date formatting options. So you can just spell it right out. I clicked the wrong one. I apologize. Do it on that one. So you can get the full date. And again, drag the column to make it wide as you need to see. Other times you need to break things up and you need to show different portions of a date. So when you're doing that, add in yet another column. Let's bring in the order date. But this time, let's make a different formula out of it. And we're just going to call it order date year. So in the available functions, there's a lot of different functions that BusinessObjects has natively. You can see date and time. We're going to open that up. And you can see everything you can do with the date to pull out different portions of the date itself. So in this case, the formula is year, and all it says is it returns an integer, and it's year, and with the date within the parentheses. Okay? Year, couple of parentheses. It may not be formatted exactly like you want because there's the comma in there. So again, we can go to default. And if you're not seeing what you want, there it is right there. The other option would have been go to custom. And if you want just 4 numbers, it's 4 number signs. And that will give you the date, 4 days, 4 digits, no commas, just straight formatting. You can do this over and over again with all the different functions that are available for dates. Insert a column. Date and time. Number of the month, number of the week, last day of the month that you're in, the month itself. Lots of different calculations that are available. We will be sharing at the end of this presentation. Gene will send out a BusinessObjects report already built. And these are the number of different things you can do. So you can pull out the individual date. You can get the month. Note that in BusinessObjects, it doesn't do the fiscal year. January is going to be 1. July is going to be 7. If you need to adjust that, you can do that in the calculation month plus. If the date is greater than 7, then it's the date is greater than 7, then it's that month minus 6. If the month is less than 7, then it's plus 6, and that will translate January to month 7 and July to month 1. So part of the fun we have with a fiscal year that's different than the calendar year. The other thing is I'm going to show here is what I did with this table that you'll get after the that you'll be able to review and look at your own time. Is I took the order date and I split it up. You have year, the month number, the order day, the date if you want that. A lot of times in some data sets, you will get a breakdown. You will see that there is a month and a year and a day, or depending on what you're doing, you need to create a date. You can do that in BusinessObjects as well, and I'm just going to show the formula. To date. Yes, Gene.
Mary says, speaking of dates, is it possible to have a filter that filters the next 3 months of date without putting in a date for reports that are scheduled?
Doing a relative date so that every time they're, I'd want to clarify that.
The next 3 months of dates without putting in a date.
You're looking for information. That would be I would think that the question involves a relative date. So if I run this report today, I can get the following 3 months or the previous 3 months. If I run this report a month from now, it will also adjust to that.
The reports that are scheduled and they
right.
run regularly.
So the reports that are scheduled.
Mary, let us know if that's what you were asking.
Confirm that's what you're asking, and it's not something that can natively be done with most data sets. There is a trick that we are working on, but if that is what you were asking, please confirm with Gene.
That is what she's asking.
Okay. Natively, it's very difficult. I would recommend putting in prompts and let the users just type in what they're looking for. That won't work for a scheduled report. I know in the Dart data set, we have a set of objects that are already pre-built that says 1 month from today, 2 months from today, the beginning of the fiscal year, the beginning of the last fiscal year. There's about 100 different dates that we have available. We're looking at right now how to surface that table and make it available to all of the BusinessObjects universes, so that functionality would become available. But we had to build that in specifically for the Dart data set. We're looking at doing that for the others as well. There may be other tricks on how to do it, but real quick on the fly, that's the only one I'm coming up with is report objects. Other than that, that will not work for a scheduled report, but I would recommend just doing prompts. The other option is input controls, and I will show those in a moment when we're done talking about this. So this is the formula to take individual portions of a date and create a full day, month, year out of it. It's a little bit convoluted, but you have to format the day to be a 00, and so it's just formatting the number. Same thing with the date, formatting the date to be 2 digits, formatting the day to be 2 digits. That way January 1st shows up as 0101, and the year needs to be 4 digits. So you may have to add 2000 to a year if you've only got a 2-digit year. Putting those all together, you then tell Business Objects what format I want the date to show in. Different cultures, different countries use different date formats. A lot of the military is month, day, year versus day, month, year. So this would allow you to create individual dates from there. This formula will be in the Business Objects report that will be available afterwards. Getting back to Mary's question, input controls. So there are 3 different ways to filter information in Business Objects, and this is a great leeway into the next topic. So when I built the report originally, you may have seen that I added a customer segment prompt. So every time this report is run, the individual who runs the report can decide which one, all or all 4 of the customer segments they want. So when you schedule a report, you can pre-populate the prompt. So every time it runs, you can run it for LS&A. Every time it runs, you can schedule it to run for a particular school or college or all the schools and colleges, or let the user decide every time. That's one way to filter the report. But if you run it for consumer and then you want information on the home office, you have to rerun the report. And if you want small business, you have to rerun the report. And if it's a very big report that takes 10 minutes to run, that's a lot of time for the user to sit there and wait for each of the little bits of information they want. Another option is you can filter the report once the information comes in. So I've run this report based on the query for everything. What I've done with this table, get the cursor for the table, is there's a filter on this table that's just only pulling in furniture. So this looks very similar to the query window, and you can build a filter at the level of the report. So it will be all the tables on that page. You can build a filter for just that one particular table on the report itself. 1 second, Gene. The last option that you can build for user are called input controls. So it'd be new. I'm going to do it on the, in this case, consumer segment. Hit next. You can make it a single choice so the user can pick only one at a time. We're going to do that, radio buttons, and just hit next and finish. And Business Objects now has for the user, they can run the report, pull in all the information they want, and just select consumer and corporate. And what I would have to do is decide that this filters on there we go. Home office, small business, consumer. So now what you've done is you've let the user decide what they want to see without having to rerun the report. So the query filter stops information from coming into the report. A table filter and an input control brings everything into the report, but lets the user decide what they want to see without having to rerun everything. Gene, you had a question, or somebody else had a question.
Sam was saying this might be helpful. When I do, I put most of the payroll estimates data in the future, but I only want to see estimates within 1 year. I put all estimates in the query, but I create a formula variable in the report that only shows me the next 12 months.
Yep.
So it's So I know we might be expanding report objects at the query level, but it can all be done at the report level.
Yeah, that's another option as well. You can put in a decent calculation to be able to say from today, X amount of months away. So that'd be a date difference calculation as well. So that would be another way to do it. You can put an input control, to get back to Mary's question, you could put an input control here based on dates, and that way you would pull in all the dates or a range of dates from the query, and then let the users decide when they open the report, I need to see the next 3 months or the previous 3 months or the next 2 months. So that would be another way to do dates. Any other questions? Sometimes what comes up, we have questions on name splitting and concatenation. So sometimes you'll have names that come in from our database, just one name, that's all there is to it. Now it becomes a question of, can I get the first name? Can I get the last name? Because maybe I need to run my report on last comma first, or maybe I need to build an email, assuming that is the first character of the first name, the full last name, and then some @email.com. So that will also be in the report that will be available afterwards. So let's look at the formulas to do this. First name. Way to get the first name is there's a number of formulas that are going on here to be able to do this. What you're doing, first of all, is you're saying, I want to take the customer name. I want to take the left. I don't know how many digits. I need to figure that out. So it may be the first 5 digits. It may be the first 4 digits. You can see here between Aaron and Adam. You don't know how many digits that is, but BusinessObjects has a formula called position, POS. Position is find me the position of a particular character in a formula. So for Aaron, if I wanted to find the position of the first R, it would show up as 3. If I wanted to show the position of the first space, it would show up at 6. So you use that formula to say, I want to take the left of the customer name up to the length of the first space. For Aaron, that would be 6. For Adam, that would be 5. For Matthew, that would be 8. And just return that. And what the trim function does is it gets rid of any leading spaces. It gets rid of any trailing spaces. So that's a simple way to get to the first name. Last name, however, gets a little trickier. The last name is you want to take the right. So you're starting from the right and you're working your way backwards. So you're taking the entire length of the customer name, first name, last name, all the characters, all the spaces, and you're subtracting from it the position of the first space. So you're working your way backwards. The problem comes in when you've got this first example. You've got 3 names. So that intermediary step is going to result in the middle name and the last name. So you have to do that step again to get to a final last name. So there's a number of steps you have to take in there to get rid of any middle name or middle initial. We always stress a lot of hesitation in doing anything involving strings or character manipulation or character searches in BusinessObjects. It's not a good way to run a report. Be very hesitant to do this either in the query side or doing a filter on text. Case sensitive comes into place, spelling errors come into place. So a lot of times there are data entry errors, and University of Michigan is spelled ISTY. And so that typo is going to mean information is going to be dropped. Something that's not capitalized means information is going to be dropped. Somebody who types in U of M versus University of Michigan, that information is going to be lost to you. So be very hesitant of doing calculations based on text in BusinessObjects or pretty much any of our reporting tools. Lastly would be creating a text concatenation. How do I add different characters together? And that would be, in this case, all you need is a plus sign. So it would be taking, again, a lot of different string calculations are here, and you can find them under the available objects, available functions, under character. And again, all of these will have the syntax and the information on where to get more information just click that and it'll pull up a new window. But in this case, you're just taking the first character of the first name and the entire last name, and you're adding them together, and you're adding it with a string, put in quotes, that you're putting together. There's one trick I will show you right now that maybe you want to put them on two different lines. So I'm just going to insert a column. And the formula we're going to use is, we're going to put in, make this bigger. It's a silly way to do it, but we will at least understand what we're talking about. First name, we're going to add the last name. Make sure that's okay. Add return. And that, of course, is just going to concatenate everything and put it together. But if you wanted them to show up on two different lines, we're going to edit that formula. The trick is, putting return here doesn't do anything. It will help you and others who have to maintain your reports. It's just easier and cleaner to see the formula if you put in a number of returns. But in this case, we're going to put in the character 10. So every character on your keyboard has a numeric value to it. Character 10 is a return.
How would you know that?
In this case, I just had to memorize it. I believe you can look up the ASCII number, ASCII, online. Just Google ASCII characters, ASCII, and it will give you the number of the individual characters. And I have a mistake here along the way. Invalid data type. What did I do? Doesn't like the char 10. This is why you never improv during a live show.
The extra plus at the end.
There's two pluses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam.
Now we're good. I had two pluses there, one on this line, one on the line below it. What we've done is we put in a character return. So if you have a list of objects in Business Objects that are returning, one example, if you're used to the Dart database, degree fields. You can have an aggregate of all the different degrees an individual's received from the university, but it's all kind of jumbled together. And if you want to show one per line, you just put in a char 10, a character 10, in between each of the individual values. So that's a lot of the tips and the tricks that we have for you today. This workbook will be available to you afterwards, and at this point in time, we can open up to any further questions that have come in. Either I have done an extremely good job or I've confused everybody. It's one of the two.
Well, it's confusing and challenging.
It is. Business Objects is challenging. This is a very abbreviated version of some formatting tips and tricks. What we do have available and is, I will show this. The IQ team is starting up a series of Business Objects trainings. They will be full day, 8-hour trainings involving everything from basic new reports, how to pull in different fields, how to format, basic formatting in Business Objects. We'll get more and more advanced in terms of query prompts, lots of calculations, lots of variables, lots of formatting tricks, how to build breaks into a report, how to build sections and forms so you can have a very detailed set of information on each individual page for each individual department or school or constituent that you need to report on. Those trainings are going to be announced on the Analytics and Business Intelligence community page. It is a Google Plus community. It is enterprise, so it is not going away with the Google Plus consumer groups. So if you would join the Analytics and Business Intelligence community, you can hear all about IQ's 8-hour Business Objects training, as well as our Tableau trainings and any new trainings we develop along the way. So that's a great way to get a lot of detail and a lot of information about Business Objects, whether you are a beginner user, an intermediate user, or an advanced user. We will get as far as subqueries, merge dimensions, and other more advanced functions in Business Objects.
Very cool.
So good morning and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. So thank you very much, Matt. And we will send a link to the captioned recording of this session within probably a week. If you want to look at recordings of other sessions, including other sessions on business objects, you can go to our webpage. And I think that's just about it. If you want to give us any feedback in the chat pod before you go, we'd be happy to see that. And